Experience. Fat Mayo Experience. Fat Mayo Experience. Fat Mayo Experience. Experience.
To the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the Week 8 Fantasy Football Rankings by position. If you're here live, dump your questions into the chat. We'll answer them as we go through the show. Got to smash the like and sub to Mayo Media Network if you want to ask those questions. However, if you're here after the fact, you can dump them in the comment section, and you can jump around by the time code to get to the position that you want to get to. Ian and Jake are here from theathletic.com, from fantasylife.com. We are using Ian's rankings. Ian, not much you really had to tailor outside of Nico Collins after trying to send... Usually on Monday night, you get screwed over somehow by an injury or something happening. Not so much this week, outside of that one thing.
About to say, only one this week, man. Can't be feeling too bad about that. Also had the 6 teams on bye Mageddon coming up. So a few less players to get in there as always, but I'm sure that's not going to stop you two from barking about, the few discrepancies we do.
No, 100%. There'd be no show.
Yeah, so I'm getting ready. I actually
with the 6 teams going on by, you release your waiver column on The Athletic. Who are you trying to target in some of these deeper leagues?
Deeper league? Well, I mean, there's a lot of options that, even 12 team, you're going to have to look at Monangai and potentially start him. You could look at Algier, as in that he's been sitting on waivers all year long, and you're going to have to start him. Gainwell, like all these split backfields. But outside of that, the deeper ones would probably be more like Brashard Smith, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about him at running back because of what happened last week. His role dependent on Kareem Hunt, also a lot that happened late. And then wide receivers, basically where you're going to be digging the deepest. There's names there. That's why I paused when you said deeper, because Tez Johnson and Jalen Noel are big names that even in 10 team you might have to start because of the buys, but because of the injuries in front of them.
All right. Everyone, if you're watching this on X or even on YouTube, go to X and share this show around. It's streaming live over there this week because I'm at home because I have a chiropractic appointment in 5 minutes after the show, so I need to be close. Obviously, the spread show coming out on Tuesday evening, so please go tune into that. Let's start with Ian's running back rankings for week number 8. Ian, at the very top, you got Bijan Robinson, who could not hold a candle to Christian McCaffrey last week. This week, you say he's going to be better. Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, A-Chain, James Cook back off his bye week. Ditto with Derrick Henry, with Lamar expected. We're still going to guess that he's back. He didn't practice on Monday, though. But Lamar may be in. That's how we're going to do these rankings right now. Saquon, Javonte Williams, Scattaboo. That's the top 10. Quinshon Judkins, Rashad White, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Mason, again, assuming that there's not going to be Aaron Jones back this week, J.K. Dobbins, Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, Chase Brown, Alvin Kamara, Ramondre Stevenson, Isaiah Pacheco, who scored a touchdown for the first time in 18 years last week, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Kamani Vidal, Rico Dowdle. With 6 teams on bye and injuries, Ian, how deep are we going here before you're you're going to have to start all these guys? Where's the line this week?
Probably right around DeAndre Swift. Again, you mentioned we'll find out what's going on with Aaron Jones. By the way, between Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley, can we get one update on these dudes other than just, official practice, designations? I have tried to comb the internet, guys. Cannot find anything. But that is about the point it starts to get rough for me. So, again, no Aaron Jones would be feeling better about Mason. J.K. Dobbins has a good matchup against the Cowboys as well. So, I wouldn't say you shouldn't be confidently starting him, but just only so much you can be, expecting from anyone, looking more so at 15 carries without much of a pass game role.
Jake, as you pointed out, Monangai might end up being a starter. I think on Ian's list, I would probably go all the way down to 28 at Chuba Hubbard. That's probably my cutoff line. If I had to start Chuba Hubbard, I wouldn't hate it because between he and Daddle, they'll split. He'll get some pass catching work. It won't be a 0. After that, you're starting to deal with some 0 guys potentially.
I think there's a few more that you're not getting, in my opinion, you're not getting a 0 from Spears at this point. He's already up to 40% of the workload. Monangai is stepping in. I don't expect the same success we just saw, but he's stepping into the Montgomery role where he's going to have probably, I would say minimum at this point, 25%. So not a great 0. Tracy's usage was interesting. It was basically all in the second half, and a lot of it was when they were up 19-0, and then it kind of trickled back down as the game started coming back into contention. So I don't know. I would go a little bit further. I would loop in Spears and Monangai, and if Rashard Smith Against Washington with no Kareem Hunt, if you're desperate, he won't get you a 0, but you're definitely right in that range. The Hubbard thing is, I actually think you could push him a little bit higher because he's facing the Bills. Maybe they come out and similar to the Ravens, maybe both of these teams coming out of the byes and they fixed all their issues, especially on defense, but we know how terrible the run defense is for the Bills, and it was a 50-50 split, essentially. I mean, it was like, 53-47 or something like that, but I have no problem with Hubbard. I would actually push Hubbard above your and my most hated player. I would play Hubbard over Tony Pollard.
Yeah, Tony Pollard's an interesting one now because you have him at number 26, Ian. And because that's getting closer and closer, you have Spears at number 31 for context. That it sucks in a week like this. You're going to have to play him. I really wouldn't want to play them.
Oh, absolutely not. But the problem is, I mean, these are guys fairly interchangeable. So as much as we try to fit them into, this early down, pass down bucket, I mean, we saw last week, Tony Pollard wound up, effing around having 6 catches, actually only got 3 from Tajay Spears. So the whole offense is a dumpster fire. I mean, Cam Ward flashes here and there, but he's also dropping the ball, mid-throwing motion in back-to-back weeks as well. So honestly, guys, any Tennessee Titans start-sit question, just do yourself a favor and take the other guy.
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Blue against Detroit. Jaden Blue looks really fast, Jake.
I mean, that's the part of the appeal is that he's explosive, and then he would be a complimentary piece. But the Cowboys seem to hate him because they barely use him.
It's true. So, going down
Javonte's amazing. Can we talk about that? Javonte Williams looks like the best pick in fantasy.
Yeah, he was better than Travion Henderson, I'll tell you that.
And RJ Harvey. It's like we all joked about it and said, maybe this is the last gasp effort for Javonte Williams. The interesting thing was we talked about the preseason, and it said like the fact that the Cowboys got what they got out of Rico Dowdle, who actually even looks better not on this team, but they got what they got out of Rico Dowdle and then said, all right, goodbye, go get $2.5 million. We're going to bring in somebody who hasn't shown anything in 2.5 years since his injury, and both of them look great. So, Javonte Williams, like you said, potentially, I used the term, Pat, league winner.
He could be. I mean, you're not winning your league in week number 6. We'll see if he's still there towards the end of the season. Any worries about Josh Jacobs? I know he scored the 2 touchdowns against Arizona, but he clearly wasn't 100%, at least in terms of the usage, Ian, that he was getting. They were working in like a smorgasbord of the other running backs in Green Bay. Was that to give him a rest? And we're going to see that going forward because a calf injury is not something like you really want to play around with.
It's not ideal, and Jacobs even said after the game that he had to basically fight with the coaches to actually get a bigger role. They want to keep him limited. So still just a touchdown scoring machine. Now has 24 in 24 games with the Green Bay Packers. So hopefully, again, just has a week to get a little bit healthier. He's been kind of on and off the injury report for the season as it was in the first place, but not too concerned. Honestly, just the thing with Green Bay, it's been impressive to see their offense be as good as they have with all the offensive line injuries, with all the wide receivers being banged up as well. Maybe not quite as bad as Tampa Bay, but not too far removed from that situation. So I'm still fine firing up Jacobs as the RB1. That, let's face it, he's been for the better part of the last 2 years.
Question, Jake, we'll start with you on this one. Mr. Nice Guy says this is his favorite show. Smash the like and subscribe. I agree with him on that. What are you doing with Ricky Bullets? Is he droppable? I would say no. You just have to wait that one out.
No, he's not droppable. I had some people asking the waiver column if he was droppable too, because the big mystery of this team is not Ricky Pearsall. It's not even George Kittle, which, again, with respect to the Falcons, they haven't even let up 100 tight end yards on the season, and they've faced good tight ends. It's not like it's a bunch of schlubs. So I'm saying all to say is, like, Purdy's coming back. Pearsall's going to be involved. The question is, who the hell is Jennings? Like, Jennings goes from I'm playing through injuries, I'm fine, to, I was a decoy because I have 5 broken ribs and all these twisted ankles. And then all of a sudden he's off the injury report in 1 week after telling us that, and he's back to being the number 1. So the one that's droppable is Kendrick Bourne, because when Jennings is out there, you or the proponent of Jennings for the entire time, as he's the number 1, which is okay for Pearsall being the number 2, even with George Kittle. But I'm not worried about Pearsall until Ayuk potentially comes back, which is still a mystery.
Yeah, week number 10 is the projection right now, Ian, for Ayuk.
Yeah, but, is he going to be back week 10 full speed? Probably not. We're going to have to see him eased into it. And then even once he is, I mean, let's face it, last year, Ayuk, even before the injury, was pacing to be one of the bigger busts at the position. Don't have to worry about Deebo Samuel now. Again, if we get fully healthy Ayuk down the stretch, that'd be great, but need a lot of things to go right. So hopefully he's just chilling in their IR spot, but I would not have very high expectations there. Mostly just agree with everything Jake said.
Perfect.
And Pat, Ayuk would take Jennings' spot. Ayuk and Pearsall don't play the same role. So that's why I'm not worried about Pearsall either.
All right, so we got a question from, I'll put it up here on the screen, from Kolkinko. He says, would you rather start Dalton or Tyrod over Dylan Gabriel in the Superflex League, assuming they are starting? I would start Andy Dalton. I
would probably Dalton slightly over Tyrod. I don't. Why are you going to go to Taylor? He's not proving you anything. Like, honestly, if you want a game manager, you don't want to win games at this point. So what are you even doing? Like, why are we just not sticking with Justin Fields? So Tyrod's not shown anything besides the fact he's actually worse Tyrod this year. And part of it's because he's on the Jets. So, yeah, I would actually go with Dalton of those.
Yeah, I'd go with Dalton. I think at least when I know he ended up throwing the 2 picks, and one of them was an excellent pick by J.C. Horn, Ian. But the offense seems like relatively competent when Tyrod plays, where it does not. Hey, you guys all laughed at me, by the way, when I said that Fields was going to get benched. Remember that.
How is it more competent, man? Look at the Buccaneers game, the one start he had. What happened for Tyrod? He had 80 yards in the first 3 quarters, like 30 drops. Yeah,
he didn't almost beat them.
Come back in garbage time, which is what we slander Justin Fields for every week. So, look, Justin Fields is a horrible professional quarterback, all right? But look at this Jets offensive environment. If we had any day one rookie playing on this team, we would just be complaining about the lack of options and the offensive line not doing enough every single week. So, again, Fields and Tyrod are not helping. I fully get that. But there was a situation last week where Tyrod underthrew back-to-back potential touchdowns to Allen Lazard and Josh Reynolds. I just had to sit there and be like, Allen Lazard and Josh Reynolds are professional football team's top 2 wide receivers right now in 2025. So, again, other than Breece Hall, who might get traded, like, who is worth a single damn in this offense, man? Hopefully Garrett Wilson gets healthy soon.
Yeah, Wilson might be back this week, Jake. At least with Andy Dalton, he has his full complement of weapons, and he usually does look good in his first start. We've seen that each of the past 2 years. He kind of falls off a cliff.
You're right that it's usually the first start, but the problem is like the Bills' pass defense is actually capable. It's their run defense that's worrisome. Like I'm putting that out there to be like, I'm not putting Andy Dalton aside my top 15, but given those options that he threw out, I mean, Dylan Gabriel against the Patriots, I don't want Dylan Gabriel against most teams, and then Tyrod even against the Bengals. Like, I mean, hell, would it shock anybody? Like, to go back to your point, Pat, would it shock anybody out there if they actually announced Tyrod as the starter and then he looks so terrible, as Ian just said, and they just turn back to Justin Fields in that game? That would be one of the reasons I want to stay away anyway.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and we don't even know if Tyrod is officially starting yet, do we? We're just all
No, that's what I was saying. Like, even if they did, I don't know that he plays the entire game.
And that's why I have Justin Fields as my QB 21. Even if he is announced as a starter, like at this point, now knowing that he can be yanked off the field, like we just can't have the same level of trust anymore.
It's true. So there's a question about a trade in the chat, and I hate these questions, so I'll read it to give you an example of a bad question that you shouldn't ask, because it's just someone who wants a pat on the back, and this is not what the show is for. It's for real questions. I've already traded Nico and Genti for Bijan and Shaheed. Did I overpay? No, you didn't fucking overpay. That's why you put it in the fucking chat. Like, come on. You got Bijan Robinson in the deal. You know you won the deal.
I don't think I went the way Master J3 thought it was going to go.
Yeah, no, good trade. Congratulations. You beat the slow guy in your league. Yeah, great work. You picked on him. Fantastic.
No, it also helped the fact that I just bought Nico Collins. I sent Justin Jefferson and Olave for Nico Collins and Garrett Wilson in a buy low, thinking, I got 2 wide receiver ones for 1. Yeah. You're welcome, everybody. My curse still lives. Pat, you remember the day my curse existed. It was like we were at the old company, like year 2 working together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happens. I mean, that's still not a terrible trade as long as your team, as long as you don't need to win this week. I think.
I need to win. Oh, no. This was a 2-4. I only have Justin Jefferson, and my number 2 was Olave, and my number 3 was trash. And I'm done.
Well, Olave finally got it done. He put all those unreal.
I know. I sent him away. That's why I immediately regret that decision. This is Jefferson and Olave went away for a concussed Nico Collins and Garrett Wilson.
All right. One more question before we get back to running backs, and this is a running back question. He's got Marks versus Kamara start decision. I just think with Kendry Miller out for the year, it has to be Kamara now.
Yeah, it's Kamara. Yeah, 100%.
Agreed.
Do we think that he's still going to be like, do we think that Kamara is going to be any good at this point, or is he just going to be the same old, same old?
Volume, but the thing with Marks is the volume for Marks is a 50-50 split in general. If they're losing, which seems to happen a lot, he gets more, but this offense is still killing him. Like as we just saw last night, is that he had the opportunities, he had his day saved by a touchdown, but for everybody that talks about how bad CJ Stroud is getting hit all the time, part of the problem is that Chubb and Marks are getting hit all the time behind the line. I mean, you saw the 3rd and 4th down plays from Marks. Like, he just got destroyed before he even got to the line. Like, it's going to kill him for the entire year. So versus a split of that, yes, Marks is more explosive at this point in their careers. I still take the volume of Kamara.
Yeah, and Ian, you're getting Marks's like receiving work, but you're also going to get that from Kamara. And Chubb or Stroud could still steal a touchdown from Marks, whereas Taysom Hill could still steal a touchdown from Kamara. You're getting more of the guaranteed volume, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kamara. I have him RB19. Marks is, I think on that RB2 borderline, RB25. But I will say that receiving volume has not been close to the same for Kamara this year. 17.6 receiving yards per game. He's never been under 33 during the rest of his career. So not an easy matchup against Vita Vea and company. So give me Kamara. But also, guys, the other big injury on New Orleans that they actually lost their starting center, Eric McCoy, for the season. So wouldn't exactly expect that efficiency as a rusher or receiver to necessarily be going up anytime soon.
4-point passing touchdown. Would you play Herbert or would you play Dart this week?
Why wouldn't you just play Dart, period?
I mean, why wouldn't you just play Herbert, period? He's been excellent, too.
Yeah, he's been up and down. He's getting killed. Dart at least gives you the rushing upside. And he was well against
Vikings defense. I know Hurts had a great game. That was the first time the Vikings had given up more than 200 team passing yards out there. So pretty much, man, like I could see Brian Flores and company just eating at the line of scrimmage. Give me Dart.
When are we going to get to the point of the season where everyone's like, oh, you can't play people against Flores, and then the Flores defense tanks for like 5 straight weeks? Does that happen like week 13? Because it happens every year. The people are like, oh my God, what a defensive genius. And he's awesome for the first half. Then people adjust to whatever he's up to, and they get absolutely lit up.
Is Flores like with Madden? Like you found the 3 defensive plays that just work and you just keep using them until the person figures it out and then you're screwed? Is that what it is?
Like, if you go look at his splits, like as a D coordinator.
Oh, I know. You're right.
It happens every year. You're like, and you talk yourself in like, well, I can't play this guy. They're playing Minnesota, and it's usually in like fantasy playoff time, and then it's like, oh no, the Vikings gave up 500 yards of offense. How did this happen? It's like, oh, they figured it out now. If we had to go down this running back list, and like you're completely stuck. You mentioned Monangai. It seems like from your rankings, because you have Brashard Smith at number 30, Ian, that would be like sort of your absolute flyer that's probably widely available. If you had to go deeper with more widely available, like where would you go here? Because I have one pick.
Man.
I have one too.
Desperate. I would say Justice Hill, someone who's actually given us some good stuff so far. If you actually look at PPR points per touch, I think he's the most efficient running back in the NFL in a situation too, where I hope Lamar Jackson's going to play guys, but it could be a situation where his defense still sucks. And we see kind of what happened during the first 5 or 6 weeks of the year. And that's the Ravens getting these more pass happy shootouts, less Derrick Henry, more Justice Hill on the field. So again, this is a deeper call for sure, but hey, Justice Hill been efficient, probably going to get between 6 to 8 combined carries and targets. We are dumpster diving here.
Jake?
I'm going down to where's the rank? 45. Isaiah Davis against the Bengals, just because the Breece Hall situation, he gets hurt. And he's been banged up basically every single year. He's missed significant time. And I'm not saying that I'm predicting Breece Hall is going to get hurt again this week, but he left and avoided this serious injury last week, which this was just more of a usage where you saw Davis kind of split almost like a 70-30 once Hall came back. And then on top of that, if they are legitimately thinking Breece Hall trade, why go give him 20 touches and then all of a sudden get him hurt before you can even get any value out of him? So I would go down to Isaiah Davis.
I would probably take a flyer on Xavier Scott, assuming that Aaron Jones is going to be out on the short week. It's on Thursday Night Football. If the defense doesn't show up quite as much and the Chargers jump out to a lead here, at least, Ian, we've seen Scott pile up some receptions when they get down.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Xavier Scott freaking sucks, man. So, hey, it could happen. But we're talking about Isaiah Davis, Xavier Scott, Justice Hill. They're all darts. One of them will probably
wait, did I just kind of he sucks so bad you spelled his name wrong. You put an N instead of that's how much you hate him. I was like,
doesn't deserve it.
The other one would just be Ray Davis. That, hey, maybe this is the game where Buffalo gets back on track. They play Kansas City next week. They're huge favorites. If they get up by a bunch in Carolina, maybe they just turn to the backup and let him run.
You know, a little shot of bidet on your bum there against the Cowboys?
No.
51.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, I just found that out last week. I thought Ian was saying it wrong. Ian was on it last week when we talked about it. It's bidet.
Yeah, ball knower.
Good for him. Yeah. I mean, at least you know it's better than toilet paper. People need to know that. Jake, are you a bidet man?
No, because I rent, so I don't
Listen,
have one.
You can install like a very easy like clip-on bidet. Very much worth it.
I use the wipes.
I've had it at a hotel a few times. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's nice.
Dude wipes.
Especially when it's not like super cold water. You can turn up like the heat a little bit on it. Oh, it's magical. It's where everyone wants to go. The Europeans really do have it all figured out. A few more questions before we get to the wide receiver rankings. Full point PPR need a running back for a bye-week streamer. Have $78 in fab. See, now this is a good question. This adds some context, what we're doing, amount of teams, amount of fab. This is what I like here. How much would you spend on Monangai? He's probably the best available, except for Samaje Perine is also out there. Jake, where would you go on this?
Samaje Perine is not a good backup plan, honestly. So if this is my team and this is like, hey, it's Monangai or I'm leaving it empty practically, then I'd probably shoot inside the 30s, honestly, just because he shouldn't have been out there this entire time, and now just coming off that game. I'm saying 30s, expecting people are going to go after him aggressively if the waivers are that thin. That's why I say I don't want to go in the 30s, but if you're that desperate, I think you might have to.
Ian, how would you play this? Because I would probably put in if I wasn't going to keep him the rest of the season, if this is
That's a good question.
like if this is in your league, it's like a 1 week plug and play. Like I think that Monangai is a better play than Perine, but if I had to play Perine over Monangai, I'd be like, all right, like whatever. It's probably like a 3-point difference.
Yeah, my first instinct was a little bit more so in the lower 20s, but I see where Jake's coming from. And if this is like a need to win, and honestly, looking at someone like Samaje Perine doesn't sound too fun to me as well. We'll say with Monangai, though, even if he isn't going to be able to keep this 1B Demont role that we actually did see come to fruition last week, like he is the clear-cut handcuff now to DeAndre Swift, too, right. Just like Josh Jacobs, just like Breece Hall was already dealing with his own injury last week. So I will just say from pure handcuff upside, Monangai, still a nice guy to have on your bench. But yeah, I'd say maybe a little bit closer to 25.
All right, 2 more here. Drop A.O. Manor for Xavier Legette, Ian?
Sure, take your 4 points regardless. I don't know, guys. Like I'd probably keep A.O. Manor. I guess Jalen Coker's role should be increasing a little bit more. I'm not buying 1 week from Xavier Legette, but hey, maybe we do get the Andy Dalton, a.k.a. the Red Rocket, doing good things in his first start.
Hey, Red Rocket likes Xavier Legette, as we saw last year, Jake.
It's 2 out of 3 games for Legette since he came back.
He also had one of the most infuriating, like, backwards, forward pass fumbles I've ever seen in my life.
That is true. But, I mean, like, the 2 out of 3 games since he came back from injury have been really good. And I know people like Jalen Coker, and I'm not saying you're wrong to actually like him. I just think this is going to take, at this point now, where Coker is clearly the 3. He can play outside, but the entire thing leading up to this about the Renfro talk was that Legette was healthy. Coker's role was going to be stepping into the slot, which we really wouldn't want on the Panthers. We don't want a third option on a lot of teams, let alone the Panthers. But the open door was that Legette got hurt and was stumbling this year. Like he wasn't playing consistently well. So, yes, Coker could still step into the number 2, but I think it's going to take Legette showing what he showed earlier this year, where he could just revert back to being inconsistent, and he doesn't separate very well so far in the NFL, so he can lose the job. That's what I'm saying. Like, my point right now is if he keeps it, he could be a wide receiver 4 the rest of the year, but he definitely has to look over his shoulder for Coker.
Flex question. Jake, we'll start with you. Vidal or Worthy? Full point PPR.
Vidal, Vidu, how you ever say his last name? How's the official? Is it Vidal? I think like Dell. Ian knows. Come on, tell us.
I only send you guys my position ranks, but I just went to my flex, which is, at fantasylife.com. I literally have Vidal as my 51st player and Worthy as my 52nd. So good question right there. I would lean Vidal, though. Also, guys, it was just an estimated practice report, but Hassan Haskins already not too involved. I had a hamstring injury and listed as a DMP. So really could be, again, more so Vidal. And, hey, if that Brian Flores defense is going to start falling off, could help. And they've also been worse against the run as it starts.
It is Vidal. There you go.
So, Vidal Sassoon is what we're calling him.
You can call him that, but it's V-I-E, the heavy enunciation. Vidal.
These people and their fucking names. Like, get it together. Just say it like it's pronounced.
I'm not
out here saying my name is Pat Mayo.
Well, hold on. Here's the better part of it. His first name's not even Kamani. It's Kimune. It's M-U-H.
Like a nickname? Or is that just like
no, it's
this one's easier to say. I'll use this.
Mooney. Like Mooney, almost, basically.
You guys want to complain about names? I've been called Tits like my entire life, all right? I mean, if you want to talk about someone that has a rough, come on.
It's a good nickname.
It's a pretty good nickname. And it's in your name. It's not like they're mispronouncing it.
It's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. It's the reality.
Keep loading up your questions. You need to be a sub to Mayo Media Network in order to ask them. Smash the like, and we'll get to the wide receiver rankings and all the other positions right after this. Now that I'm old, I've had to come to the fact that I just don't bounce back the way that I used to. I don't wake up in the morning feeling normal. And now that football season has started, that is absolutely unacceptable, because I got work to do in the morning, and I got kids that are waking up. It's no good. But that isn't a problem anymore, because I found ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. The ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol the first drink of your night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel the best tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/PatMayo to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use PatMayo at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PatMayo and use the code PatMayo at checkout for 15% off. For over a century, Johnnie Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereux Golf, Johnnie Walker introduces the Johnnie Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, blue label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnniewalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly. Back on the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 8 wide receiver rankings from Ian Hartitz over there. You can get all of his rankings at fantasylife.com. Check him out in the description right now. Get the direct link. Jake's will be available at theathletic.com on Tuesday evening. Mine will get sent directly to you if you are a sub to the free Mayo Media newsletter. Get all of that information down in the description. Mine will also be live on 4for4.com as well. Ja'Marr Chase comes in at number 1 against what's looking to be maybe a no Sauce Gardner on the Jets side. Even if he's playing, it doesn't really matter. You're playing Ja'Marr Chase. Rashee Rice, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Roma Dunze, Cortland Sutton, Egbuka, George Pickens, A.J. Brown, Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, Tet McMillan. That's the top 16. Olave, Higgins, Devonta Smith, QJ, Wan'Dale Robinson, Deebo Samuel, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Stefan Diggs, Xavier Worthy, Romeo Doubs, Jordan Addison, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, Kendrick Bourne. And that's assuming no Ricky Bullets and still a banged up Juwan Jennings. I guess that's the one we should probably start with is, after what we saw on Sunday Night Football, Ian, how confident are you in any of these 49ers receivers in this passing game right now?
It was a tough matchup. Falcons are the league's best defense in passing yards allowed per game, so I'm not going to completely throw it out. 49ers, they still might be leading the league in total passing yards. So we do have another week of Mac Jones. At least that's what kind of Kyle Shanahan made it sound like. So I will say, as long as Bourne is still going to have Mac under center, I am at least, hopeful that he's going to look a little more like the guy we saw in weeks 5 through 6 versus week 7. So I will say that is about the part in the ranks. I mean, seeing, again, Kayshon Boutte, Alec Pierce breaking into like the top 40 this week. Times are getting a little bit tough past wide receiver 30. So if you want to move him down a few spots, I'm not going to go crazy about it. But, again, one bad week shouldn't completely dismantle what Bourne's done this year.
All right. What are you making of it, Jake?
I'm actually kind of out on Bourne at this point because of Juwan Jennings. But I'm not going to try and play this game because the truth is, if Jennings was a decoy or not even out there, like if we knew, like I said, oh my God, Jennings aggravated his injury on Thursday, and he's not playing this week, I'd actually move Bourne up a few spots in Ian's ranks. With Jennings playing, I'm going to play Jennings over Bourne because he's been the one, whether or not it's been Mac Jones. And there is a connection between Mac Jones and Bourne. It's undeniable, but it wasn't there last week because Jennings was doing Jennings things where he actually looked healthy. And that's the biggest question. If Brock Purdy's back, I think that just throws another wrench in this. And all I'm saying with this entire equation is that Pearsall, if back, is the only one I would trust outside of George Kittle. I would not try to play the the Jennings Bourne game, despite the fact both of them have top 25 upside. I would try to avoid it.
What are you doing with the Buccaneers wide receiving core now that Mike Evans is likely out for the year?
I'm going hard after Tez Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Again, obviously, Emeka Ibuka, top 10. Thank God, by the way, the hamstring held up. He honestly could have had a big game. Baker was pretty far off that entire evening. But no, I think Tez Johnson is the man. Remember, a lot of people love Tez Johnson, but then he ran a 4.51 instead of a 4.49. So everyone pretty much jumped off that ship back in March. But this is a dude that put up some numbers at Oregon. Honestly, just seems to create separation out there. So it would be Tez as the number 2 option for me, followed by Sterling Shepard. And then, of course, we got Cameron with a K, Johnson. So I guess Chris Godwin isn't going to be back anytime soon. Just an unfortunate situation there.
All right. Well, Jake, I want to ask you about Jordan Addison, who's basically been as good as Justin Jefferson in like each of the past 8 games that they've played.
Well, so part of it was matchup last week, 2 number 2s and 1s to the degree this year, but number 2s have just been destroying that defense. And that was an Addison situation. I think Addison is what Addison is like Jefferson and Addison are both playable any given week, although now it sounds like Wentz might even be questionable for this week as well, which means they turn to
Broseph.
Yes, Broseph. Yeah, they're going to turn to the third option there, which I think you would have to downgrade both. I know that Addison's been really productive and trustworthy, and where Ian has him kind of in that range of Xavier Worthy as the 2, Keenan Allen as the 2/3, and those kind of names is fine, but I think we'd have to downgrade him if that's not Carson Wentz.
I just hit the resale market on these World Series tickets. Do you know what the cheapest ticket I can find in the stadium at Rogers Center is at the moment, Ian?
Upper deck?
$1,500.
$3,300 for no.
I didn't even get a guess.
It's going to be a tough scene for me. Spending like.
What if you're is it 5 digits if you're in the hundreds?
Oh yeah. No, actually, no. In the hundreds, right now it's like $8,000 a ticket.
So yeah, with all the markups, so yeah, which the fees and convenience fee, the convenience of purchasing the fee.
This is also an hour after they just sold out, so hopefully, like 3 days from now, it's not as outrageous as people are like. Well, maybe I can drop them down a little bit because they're not selling. Hopefully, that ends up being the case.
It's weird. I'm going the other way with it. I told you I got tickets to Cena's last match. Wrestling will go up as you get closer. Baseball and other sports kind of go down as you get closer.
All these tickets are freaking insane these days, man. Last thing real quick on Addison. I actually wrote in my article that I thought you two were going to be calling me out on Addison being ranked as low as he is. He's the wide receiver 7 per game this year. I will say, just from having watched it, it seems like he's kind of getting that 2024 Quentin Johnston treatment where there's 1 or 2 times a game where I'm like, how did he get left that wide open? Get it together. But the big thing here is if we are seeing them go back to McCarthy, guys, these first 2 weeks, the Vikings were the 2nd most run-heavy offense in the entire NFL. With Wentz under center, they've actually been 4th in terms of drop back rate over expected. So again, could see a very different kind of offensive equation, bring Aaron Jones back as well. And there's just going to be less overall volume pie for all the pass catchers.
Let's see, Bourne or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in full point PPR kill me. It's not even a fucking question. It's just saying like, here are bad things that happen. You don't care what happened to you. We're here to talk about week 8. Come on now. Struggling to find a consistent running back, too, due to multiple injuries. What kind of running back would Cortland Sutton or Rashee Rice bring in? I think that Rice would get you a really good running back, honestly.
Yeah, I don't want to trade him, though.
Let's say you desperately needed one. You had enough. Like, could you get Barkley for Rice right now?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm holding my tongue. These are the ones that aggravate you, Pat. These are the ones that aggravate me. Who can I get? I don't. Like I just bleeped myself, as you can see. I don't know. That's why there's trade charts out there, because you have to find a team that needs what you have and can give up what you're targeting. So I could give you 17 names, and all 17 could be unattainable. Like it's you have to like look for a team that has what you want. If you shoot for Rice, yes, you should shoot for a top 10 running back, absolutely. If you trade the other one, you should still get a high-end RB2. But you need to find a team who can give you that and wants to give you that.
All right. I think that's a good one. Ian, do you have an easier answer to
I would say that sometimes, Jake, you just got to fucking give the people what they want, all right? So I do think that, again, I'd be more willing, I guess, to move off Cortland Sutton. But to Jake's point, it does really just depend on, again, finding that wide receiver needy team. So Sutton, again, been an upside wide receiver too. If you're able to get a Cam Scatterby or Quinshon Judkins, that would be awesome. Maybe I'm, again, overselling it a little bit. So those would be cool for me for Sutton. But with Rice, man, again, other than Bijan, CMC, and Josh Taylor, I think going straight up for anyone could be fun. Derrick Henry honestly would be the guy that I would be trying to prioritize.
I was just about to say
coming up for the Ravens, very nice, a lot of positive game scripts, and again, they're in a position now where they can't afford not to give the big dog all the carries he can handle.
So I was going to say, like, if you do actually want names, I would actually start what Ian said with Sutton and go for Barkley or Henry because people are so disappointed in them. I don't think you'll necessarily get either one, but if a team does have depth, but again, I don't know that you're going to be able to trade 1-for-1 for either wide receiver. You're probably going to have to throw a running back to that team no matter what.
Yeah, it's probably true. I mean, with Rashee Rice, I'd be like firing at. You're not going to get Jonathan Taylor, but I think that you mentioned Sutton for like Judkins and Scatterby. I don't think people are giving up those running backs for Cortland Sutton right now.
I don't think so either, but it'd be cool if they did.
But you could get like Rice for Judkins. Like that would be a 1v1 that they would probably take.
But Rice,
you might as well just keep Rice.
Yeah, that target share is just going to be ridiculous, and he has the highest floor of anyone, man. It's like
nobody ever wants Kyron, even though he does Kyron things. I know Ian agrees with that. Like, it feels like we're like the ones that are always arguing like nobody ever wants Kyron, and all he does is put up top 10 numbers all the time.
Let's get to the rest of the wide receiver rankings because you're going to have to dig deep with 6 teams on by and all of the injuries that are going through it. So at number 33, after Kendrick Bourne at 32, it's Shaheed. My main man, Kayshon Boutte, back-to-back weeks. Do not like him this week against a fierce, ferocious pass rush from the Cleveland Browns. Keon Coleman, Alec Pierce, Matthew Golden, Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Sterling Shepard, Marvin Mimsah, Troy Franklin, Jerry Jeudy, Ao Manera, Leggett, Josh Reynolds is up on that list as well. Tyquan Thornton, Alan Lazard. We're assuming that Garrett Wilson's going to be back, right?
Oh, we're assuming it.
They have a week 9 bye. I think they probably let him get healthy through that.
So would it be like, would you, how, like at a 10, Ian, how comfortable would you be starting any Jets receiver?
1.
Okay.
Outside of Garrett Wilson?
Yeah. Like if Garrett
0.
Wilson fits this week.
0. You don't start any of them.
Like you'd rather start DeAndre Hopkins instead?
At least I could possibly get a random touchdown, yes.
It's funny because we mentioned Nico Collins and the concussion. Obviously, Mike Evans was the big injury from Monday night, Ian. Totally forgot.
Yeah.
Yes. I did get that updated. So, yeah, man, that one was obviously brutal. So they did say maybe get back by the end of the year. So a couple 300-yard games away from 1K. We'll see what happens.
To that point, that's one where, like, and I know this might change because we always change our rankings, so I don't know if Ian's going to possibly change it, but that's one where I would put Tez over Shepard. Tez stepped into the number 2 role, and Shepard stayed as the number 3, and Tez, I think, is a good comparison for what everybody might think and haven't watched him. And, oh, by the way, to your point earlier, Ian, what a shocker that the 40 is overrated at the Combine, and people should just pay attention to what these players can do. Because he's essentially, and this is what I did a little clip for The Athletic, is picture Tank Dell on the Buccaneers. Now, I'm not saying he is Tank Dell yet, but people will be going bonkers for Tank Dell as the number 2 on the Buccaneers. He is basically Tank Dell, and that's why I would have him higher because I'm going to shoot for that upside. I would put him in my ranks up like with an Alec Pierce, who it takes 2 or 3 catches, 2 or 3 targets, hell, and you can end up with 80 yards and a touchdown. So that's why I would go Tez over Shepard for the upside there.
Okay. If we're going down deeper, like we do need someone, if you had to pick one of the Washington guys, do we think that it looks like Debo will be back? Do we think that McLaurin plays?
I'd like to think so. They're going to have extra time ahead of this Monday night kickoff. But that said, because it is a Monday night kickoff, if it's going to be a game time decision, you are going to have to be prepared. So I lean more towards, I would say, Jalen Lane. He was already kind of getting some shot plays earlier in the year. I think he's flashed with his opportunities. But between him and Chris Moore, maybe even Luke McCaffrey, it is a bit of a toss-up situation. So, again, in that matchup, I guess Jalen Lane. Jake, do you have a feel for it?
I have a feel it's whoever's out. So the one thing that we've watched, and I actually hit up Ben Standig, who covers the Commanders, and one of the things is it's Chris Moore this goes back to like the 49ers when they used to have injuries. Chris Moore is the McLaurin replacement. Lane is the Debo replacement. So that's good. So if we get McLaurin back and Debo doesn't come back, Lane would be the biggest beneficiary. If Debo's back, then Moore would be if there's no Terry McLaurin. But to Ian's point, if they're both out, or if I'm even just taking a risk at the third wide receiver with McLaurin and Debo both playing, I would go for Lane, similar to my argument for Tez Johnson. Lane just has the higher ceiling.
Oh, here's a terrible question for you that I know that you hate, Jake. Would you rather sell Jenkins high or roll with him the rest of the way?
Do I have a red hat? I don't have a red hat. I'm going to keep rolling.
Let's get your MAGA hat out, Jake.
Look,
it's in a pristine case. I can't touch that.
like, yeah, if you get Jonathan Taylor for him, sure. Like, again, you have to give some context to what is sell high.
That's not even like, should I trade him for X? That's just
like, should I trade him? Yeah, just trade him for nothing. Just pretend like you really cashed in. I don't know. Like, you got to give some names here of like, yeah, if you can trade for the best players at every position, then yeah, trade them. If not,
trade him for Jackson Dart for your third quarterback in a one quarterback league. There you go.
Here's a respectable one. Jason Stewart knows what's going on here. Ian, this one's for you. Fannin Jr. or Gadsden? 1 week only with the bye. Should I go with the upside of Gadsden on Thursday Night Football? I think that the Fannin stuff is it's probably going to be a bit better this week because of at least the conditions that they're playing in.
The problem is Njoku is day-to-day with this knee issue. We're probably not going to know what's going on until Friday. I would love to before, but that's like Fannin's going to drop below Gadsden if we do have Njoku back. So that's just kind of the tricky part right there. I would take Fannin over Gadsden if we knew Njoku was out. We don't right now. So I would lean Gadsden there, but it's tough.
I mean, Gadsden the past 2 weeks, Jake, has been excellent.
He has been, but the thing with that comes down to the Chargers. Everybody asking about Gadsden. And the interesting thing here is that what we know, Justin Herbert's not going to throw 55 times a game, and it's hard for the third option, let alone the fourth option. And the only reason I bring that up is because Quentin Johnston's day was saved by a touchdown. But the biggest thing is that despite the fact that Gadsden is obviously a tight end and runs out of the slot sometimes, and Quentin Johnston's basically never in the slot, the one area that they cannibalize each other is in the red zone and the end zone. Those red zone and end zone targets were almost identical last week. So that's the concern for Quentin Johnston, is that if Gadsden's going to start being a thing, Johnston's the most likely to suffer because he's going to lose touchdowns. If he's not a thing, it probably means Quentin Johnston bounced back. And in this case, I'd steer towards Gadsden, mostly because the weird part about with Fannin is he did run more routes. And again, that weather game kind of changed a hell of a lot. But he wasn't seeing a ton more targets without David Njoku. So, I get Fannin. Fannin's the floor.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Fannin's the floor.
Let's do 2 trade questions here. Ian, first for you. Would you trade Genty for Javonte Williams? I would.
I think we have to at this point. Javonte's like RB6 on the season. As much as Genty, obviously still talented, just a dumpster fire of an offense. Give me Javonte.
I will say, if you want to overthink that one, and I say that it is overthinking because Ian's point is 100% right. Javonte Williams has been better. Their schedules for running backs are vastly different. The Dallas schedule is much more difficult for running. Vegas, I think, has a top 5 remaining schedule for running backs.
They do, but they can't block.
Their offense sucks. I know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's
why
I said if you really want to overthink it. Yeah.
I just don't see Dallas's offense getting slowed down. Maybe he'll get slowed down this week against Denver. Who knows? But I doubt that even.
Like Javonte's already doing good in terms of just yards after contact, missed tackles, forced numbers. Like if you didn't know who Javonte was the last 3 years, we'd be going nuts over the guy. It wouldn't even be a conversation. It's just because we still have that PTSD from, drafting him in 2023 and 2024. Still haven't quite gotten over it. But again, just Javonte and everything he's doing right now, man, it should be clear to Javonte.
Not even that. If you stripped the name, if you swapped the names on the jerseys and put Genty in the back of Javonte and vice versa, people would be like, Genty is up there with Christian McCaffrey. Like that's, to be honest, like you're 100% right. You know what Javonte's been doing this year.
So we got two Devin A-Chain questions in a row. Would you trade Barkley and Pittman for A-Chain? I would not.
I would not.
Nah, me either. Because honestly, the problem is if we do see Tua continue to just absolutely suck out here, and we all of a sudden have a Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers, now all of a sudden I'm a little bit worried about Achan's, upside. We're already not seeing the same sort of receiving production. I mean, this year I think it's CMC in first place. He's got like over 500 receiving yards, and then it's Bijan with 320, but then all the way down near 200 is Achan. So we haven't had that same receiving floor on Achan. Honestly, if we want to try to get into who's someone maybe we should consider selling high, maybe Devon Achan, guys, but it'd have to be high. Make me clear about that.
Which side would you rather have, Achan and Sutton or Gibbs and Bowers? I'd rather have Gibbs and Bowers.
Gibbs and Bowers.
Easy.
Bowers coming back week 9, it looks like.
Gibbs the best player in the trade too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Bowers could end up being second.
Yeah, really could.
Although it's still
yeah.
the Vegas offense is just a tough sell in general. They can't just not being able to block means 0 ADOT for anyone essentially.
But Bowers already last year was kind of in that role, and if Jacoby Myers is going to get traded, who else do they have to throw the ball to?
Yeah, but I mean that should have been some logic for like Michael Mayer this week. Like he was like the only guy on the field. They couldn't even get him the ball.
That was one of the worst offensive.
Did they get past midfield in that game?
Century. I know it. Look, that was horrible. It's not going to be that bad every single week. The Raiders' offense was horrible last year too, and Brock Bowers had one of the greatest, tight end seasons that we've seen. So again, I would just be a little bit more optimistic for Bowers moving forward.
All three of you reap the rewards of capitalism and freedom. Better not vote for communists. Well, I have to as a Canadian because according to Americans, every Canadian is communist. So it's just how I have to vote, unfortunately. Sorry, guys.
What did I miss? I was going to say,
I mean, it's some guy's looking for fantasy advice, but he has to inject himself at all times. Just a real hero. Just
was it the joke about the hat in the case?
It was. Don't joke, Jake. I don't get jokes, so you don't get to make them.
I will say I bought this, if any boxing fans out there, I bought the Marvin Hagler red hat that says war on it because, I thought it was cool. And Marvin Hagler was a freaking badass back in the day. But I wore it like twice, and then just my wife and mom were immediately like, oh, you're wearing like a MAGA hat now. I was like, no. And I started trying to explain it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to wear the hat anymore. This is too much effort.
Let's do tight end rankings for week number 8. Tyler Warren comes in at numero uno. George Kittle, Jake Ferguson, Tucker Kraft, Harold Fannin. That's the top 5. And this is assuming no David Njoku, but he could return this week. Ian has already gone over that. Travis Kelce, Waller, who is banged up with a pec injury as well. Yeah. Kyle Pitts, Kincaid, Gadsden, Dallas Goedert, Evan Ingram, Mark Andrews, Mason Taylor, Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz, TJ Hawkinson, Theo Johnson, Juwan Johnson, and Cade Otton. Goddard could probably go higher.
Yeah, honestly, tight end 6 through 11. If you flip those, I'd be like, yeah, I can see it. So I had Gadsden as high as I think tight end 6 in my initial ranks, and then I kind of thought through it and decided just to have a little bit of step of caution. But man, Goddard, it's just so much of that big time production was coming on, those design plays from inside the 5-yard line. I don't think we can assume that's going to keep happening.
Who would you bump up here, Jake? Because it's a tough week for tight end if you need anyone.
I know. That's why I was trying to look at the list and be like, who would I bump up? And I don't know if there's a whole lot. I mean, maybe you could argue for Zach Ertz, but I think like Zach Ertz needs somebody to be healthy. Like it's one of those situations where you brought up the Michael Mayer thing. And I know that was a lot of because the offensive line and the team was just completely stomped in that one. But tight ends, especially Ertz part of his career now where he's at, some of these tight ends like Fannin, like they can't really step up because they still need somebody to pull some coverage off because they're tight end. They can only do so much. So you can argue maybe Hurts. You could argue Mason Taylor if it's Justin Fields. And I said, yeah, if it is Justin Fields and they do have Garrett Wilson, I would want Garrett Wilson out there. But, I mean, you're throwing darts here. I think it's a slim week, and I don't want to throw it. I'll give you Dalton Schultz. And not just what happened last night because of now the injury to Nico Collins, but they'd still have wide receiver options that you could possibly throw to.
Everyone is basically dead on Cincinnati. If Flacco's actually going to pass and is forced to pass against the Jets, Fant could have some upside.
Tanner Hudson was
his biggest
out
game
last
of his
week,
career.
Oh yeah, just make sure Hudson is still out because they would be rotating. Mike Gesicki is on IR and out for the foreseeable future though. So Noah Fant, I do like that call.
So the only other one I can really think of, I mean, if Kmet is out, maybe Colston Loveland and Baltimore's defense still sucks.
Yeah,
I could see that one.
Maybe without Kendra Miller, we see Taysom Hill's package increasing out there. Weird things have happened.
Oh! Phrasing.
Just don't need
Pause.
to phrase that any differently, sir. I enjoyed that one. You could roll out any of the Steelers tight ends and just hope they catch a touchdown.
They probably will.
This is gonna be the week where they combine go 2 for 18 just because of what happened last week.
Quarterback.
Speaking of package increasing, tell me Arthur Smith wasn't excited about that game.
No, he enjoyed that. He was just growing and growing and growing that package and really enjoyed himself. And maybe that's the end of him. Now that he's had so much time off, we'll see if he can get it back again. We got some quarterback rankings. Josh Allen's at number 1. Lamar is at number 2. Because I saw that he didn't practice on Monday. I don't even know what that means, really, because it's not like the game is on Thursday. Does anyone worry that he's not going to be back?
A little bit.
Not until Thursday.
They had other guys, though, like Roquan Smith and some players who have been missing time practicing on Monday. So that would just be my one cause for concern. I'm not going to freak out right now. He is in the ranking after all, but not ideal, fellas. I will say that.
So
No,
it's
not.
Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, Hurts, May, Prescott, Mayfield, Caleb Williams, Daniel Jones, Bo Nix. He had 40 fantasy points, Bo Nix. Jackson Dart, Herbert, Purdy. Do we think that Purdy plays? Because I don't. I think we're going to see Mac Jones again.
He sounded like he was getting close last week.
Feels like
No,
he
we had the
like he's been getting
Shanahan
close for
presser.
ages.
I probably should get Mac Jones in there. And with that, I'd bump Mac Jones down maybe 2 spots. I think it's a toss-up between him and Flacco. I played love over the 49ers QB at that point, so we'll see what happens.
Other than that, who do we? I went to the mat for Aaron Rodgers last week, Jake. That worked out well because he threw a zillion touchdowns, so that was great.
Yeah.
But
Kudos on that.
if we have to go to pure streamer mode here, so beyond Marcus Mariota, who's probably starting in spot of Jaden Daniels, from CJ Stroud down, if you had to take a flyer on one of those guys, who would it be?
Penix, or potentially we might get Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I wish Penix wasn't dealing with that foot issue. Otherwise, this would have been the smash spot.
Well, his hand,
for it,
too.
so. Yeah.
That's why.
Gosh.
So if we could get a Kirk Cousins game.
Probably, oh man, without Nico, I can't get behind Stroud. Oh, it'd be Marcus Mariota, assuming Jaden Daniels is out. We've actually seen Mariota.
He said beyond Marcus Mariota. I listened.
Come on. Come on. I was sneezing. I thankfully got to my mute button in time. But maybe Spencer Rattler. I will say that, guys. Spencer Rattler, better EPA per play this year than each of the last 4 number 1 overall picks. We got Olave, we got Shaheed, we got a Buccaneers defense that usually forces teams to pass. They don't want to deal with Vita Vea's fat ass up the middle. So I do think Rattler, again, could be someone, if we are going past Mariota, he would be my pick.
Potential rebound game for the Bucs, but maybe this is just the start of their descent. They're starting to lose everyone. They're going on the road, division game. It's very easy to overlook this New Orleans game, but you're getting Tampa, who they just kind of got the crap kicked out of them. Although they did run what was it, Jake? A 47-yard drive that ended in no points in the fourth quarter of that game. Watching it was oh my god, this can't keep happening.
Game, I was just is this game going to end?
I think Rattler's not a bad shout because the Bucs run D is really good. The pass D isn't very good, and Rattler just seems to find his way to 240 and 2 touchdowns every week.
Well, that's the thing. That was his first. He only had 2 interceptions, right, going into that game, or was it 3?
Yeah.
And that was his first really bad interception game. So Rattler would be okay. I'm surprised you're not just bringing up your boy Andy Dalton. I thought that's where you were going to go, Pat.
I think that Dalton's a fine play. You do worry about the Florida Dalton that. We kind of saw this with Browning, too, is that you have this vision in your mind of what they were the last time that you saw them, but they might just suck now.
Well, let me ask Ian. I'm going to ask the Pat Mayo question. Where would Kirk Cousins slot in if he was starting at home against the Dolphins?
Ooh, man. I'd start Rodgers, probably ahead of him still. Probably right ahead of Tua.
I think I would go with him over Rodgers. If the Packers don't do everything they possibly can to murder Aaron Rodgers, I'd be shocked, especially coming off that game where they barely beat the. And I know they got stuck on the tarmac for 6 hours and blah, 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 but it's still the Packers.
You going to start Cam Ward in your points per just randomly dropping the ball league?
Crushing it.
Number 1 quarterback.
Defenses for the week. So I have 4 streamers to look
Falcons,
at here.
baby.
5 streamers, actually, to look at that are all below 25% owned. Because I think that you know who you're playing. Like if you have the Patriots or the Colts or the Falcons against Miami or even the Chiefs against Washington in a backup, Buffalo against Carolina, even Denver against Dallas. I don't love that one, but there's going to be a lot of throwing in that game. That's probably the route that you want to go. Even the Giants and Eagles, both sides of that ball. The Packers are all probably pretty good starts. But if you do need someone to go pick up, how do you feel about these 5? Atlanta at home against Miami, the Bengals at home against the Jets, the Niners at Houston, Dallas at Denver, and the Jets at Cincinnati would be my 5 preferred ones under 25%. And I think there's like 12 defenses under 25% owned, Ian.
I got Falcons as number 1. I think you nailed that. 19% ESPN. I think if Lamar does wind up being out, the Bears are very live. They're only rostered 17%. Yes. Bears have forced the most turnovers in the league this year, actually, surprisingly. Jaguars are 2. Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, defensive masterminds, as we all were saying. And then also, guys, coming off the bye, the Bills are actually available in they're only rostered, I should say, in 38% of leagues. So as much as we all love Andy Dalton over here, I get it. I do think the Bills getting healthier coming off that bye would be my 3rd pick.
Any for you, Jake?
I was going to bring up the Bears, so I stole that one. I think the Falcons, are the obvious play. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. The Bengals just feel like that's trappy. Like it's going to just be like either really good because it's Justin Fields and Tyrod and turnovers, or it's just going to be the fact that the Bengals defense is just still trash. So 25%, I don't know you're going to find anything else to get. 49ers against Houston.
They were number what? They were number 3 on that list. Atlanta, Cincinnati, San Francisco. 1, 2, 3.
I know you gave out 5. That's what I was saying of your list outside of the Atlanta one, which seems to be the obvious one. Watch, Atlanta's going to be the one also. Everybody picks in Survivor this week and then gets upset.
That would be hilarious if that happened.
Right?
My Tua revenge game against the world.
I was so mad the Broncos got let off the hook. That was 15% of Survivor picks took the Broncos.
Oh, it's funny because in mine they were only 4%.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone just used the Chiefs last week. It was like 58% of people used the Chiefs.
Jeez.
Oh no, the one that I like. It wasn't that. Is that not the 4 for 4 one? I thought I was watching the 4 for 4 one.
Oh no, I'm out of that, so
okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Because it was Chiefs. Who was the other big one? Because it was Chiefs, the Broncos,
and Packers. Well, the Packers were
Bears.
down to the wire.
Bears were the other one.
Yeah, the Bears were a big one. I saw someone use the Jets last week in the one I was in. So is that like a misclick?
No, I saw somebody last week in the 4 for 4, Pat. Here you go. There was one that took the Bengals. Kudos to you.
Not bad. Not
right?
bad at all. Telling you, on those Thursday night games, the home division dog, Ian, getting all the points, has a terrific cover rate this year.
I bet, man. No, that was a fantastic pick there. Joe Flacco, I'm just so happy that he has these Bengals looking good again. Thank God we don't have to watch Jake Browning for the foreseeable future.
Jake's guy, Jake Browning.
Lost all his confidence in the world. I'm trying to see if there's any Thursday night footballs that are like that, Pat, remaining.
Yeah, I don't think so. So maybe for the rest of the year, I don't know.
Not dogs.
What's that?
I said not that would be dogs. You got Patriots at home to the Jets. They're not going to be dogs. You got Broncos home to the Raiders. They're not going to be dogs. So
that's too bad because that was a pretty decent spot that you could pick on Thursday Night Football. One more question before we get out of here. I'm lucky to have Kittle and Jake Ferguson, full point PPR. Who should I trade away? Leaning Ferguson. I don't know if you have to trade either of them away, honestly.
Whichever one gets you more back.
Yeah,
when
like
you have
not that
players on that team. Yeah.
What did you guys make of Kittle and like only blocking basically on Sunday Night Football?
It's also the Falcons defense. I brought that up earlier. Like they've given up 10, 99, and 1 to tight ends on the entire season, facing Otten and Ertz and now Kittle and Hawkinson. And like it's not jabroni tight ends. They just destroy. Like this is the inverse of the Cardinals from years ago, where it's like start all your tight ends against the Cardinals. This is avoid most. I would still start Kittle knowing that. Like if I gave you those numbers right now, it's George Kittle. But outside of like the top 3 or 4 tight ends, I'm not starting anybody against the Falcons going forward, tight end wise.
Kittle, unfortunately, just has these games over the years. Usually it's like, well, okay, Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk were going off, so it's a little bit more understandable. But that shocked me, guys. He still ran around 86% of the offense's dropbacks. Nothing was limited about the dude. And again, when the passing game wasn't exactly getting anything going out there, like it happened to Malik Neighbors in that Sunday night game against the Chiefs before he got injured. Like, when I understand that, we're not coaches and it's tough just to scheme up and defenses can do things that, again, we can't even fathom as, non-ball knowers and all that. But like Kittle and Neighbors, you have these guys that are such beasts after the catch. Like, you can't design a screen or a pop pass and just get the ball in the dude's hand. I know Kittle's an incredible blocker, and that's fine. He's also one of the most efficient tight ends we've ever seen as a pass catcher. So very, very confusing. They got the win, so whatever. But National Tight End Day, guys, Kittle's going for 3 this week.
Would you trade Jordan Mason for Garrett Wilson?
Yes, if I have running back depth to do that.
I think that's have running back depth. Like, what do you think that Mason's role, Ian, is going to be when Aaron Jones comes back? Fitty?
Probably leads the way on early downs, but it hasn't been too different with Xavier Scott in the first place. Mason not exactly getting more pass down work. So I flipped Mason for T. Higgins last week, and Garrett Wilson, I guess rest of the season we probably have a little bit higher, but that's about the range.
Yeah, I think I would make that deal, honestly. Like, unless, like you said, Jake, unless there's something like completely wrong, he's your only running back left. If that's the case, you're not going anywhere anyway.
No, if Mason's your RB3 and then the next person behind that has a bunch of handcuffs, then you're like, I would try to make the package bigger. That wasn't even purposeful, to try and get more involved there to get like a flyer running back if you're going to do that. But I want to find a way to make that trade if I can.
See, I would make the trade simply for that. If Garrett Wilson comes back this week and is good, you could retrade Garrett Wilson for a better running back than Jordan Mason.
You could do that too. You have to know how active your league is.
That's true. That really does depend, but you could trade up in that scenario just because Garrett Wilson is objectively the better fantasy asset. He just happens to be banged up right now.
I'll go back to that other team. I'll trade Garrett Wilson away, so it'll be good for everybody. I'll stop ruining players.
All right. See, there you go. See, thank you to Jake on that one. You can thank Jake by going to theathletic.com and checking out his rankings on Tuesday night.
Midnight.
I always get very confused. Can you just do it like at 11:59 on Tuesday? That way I don't have to get confused about the entire thing.
No, that's why I do it at 12:01 on Wednesday, so people don't get confused with the whole Wednesday midnight.
Yeah, but if I say it's on Wednesday, people are like, oh, like I release my rankings at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. It's like, oh yeah, just before you go home from work. Pat's rankings will hit your inbox if you're subbed to the Mayo Media newsletter. With yours, if I say Wednesday, they're like, well, when are they going to be out on Wednesday? It's like, no, they're basically out Tuesday night. On the West Coast, it's like 8 p.m.
9. But
9
yes.
p.m. I guess it's 4 hours for me. Sorry about that. I missed the hour. Ian, your rankings are out at fantasylife.com right now. Link in the description. I'm guessing that you will update them at some point during the week.
They get updated all throughout the week. It's always in there. You can even see my little hover that tells you when I did it. So if you want to criticize and shout me out for that, feel free. But yeah,
PDF, rankings, freeze them.
Freeze them up there. Yeah. And again, I got an article that kind of breaks down a lot of cool questions. I just had it after watching the week of action. That is very much free as well. So check it out, fantasylife.com.
I'll have all of my ranking tidbits and player tidbits in that newsletter, all again completely free, or you can just read it up on 4for4.com. Smash a like on the way out. Sub to Mayo Media Network and the audio podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And I